This is Talkback 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309.
This is Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. KGVO, Missoula's news and weather station.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, November 27th edition of Talkback. Talkback this morning is brought to you by Harrington Surgical Supply, where you can feel confident in their discreet and knowledgeable guidance on a multitude of products and medical supplies. Also brought to you by 123 Seamless Gutters, where they'll handle everything that has to do with gutters so you don't have to. The number is 406-240-2669. They're protecting the foundation of your future. Also brought to you by Phillips Janitorial, offering both residential and commercial cleaning, your home and your business. They got you covered. No job too big or small. 406-260-6617. And by Y West Storage out at the Y on Two Smokes Way. If you need storage, here's their number, 406-510-0590. At Y West, they're making room for you.
The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Well, good morning once again, everyone. The fabulous Nick Christensen right over there. Good morning, Mr. Fabulous. How are you?
Good morning. Doing good.
All right. Also joining us in the studio this morning is Ace Sour Wine. And you know Ace now as the voice of the Lady Grizz, and also the fact that you're on the field for football games. He is our sports guy now. And so welcome to the studio. How are you?
Fantastic. Mr. Fabulous as well. How are you doing over there?
Doing good.
Mr. Fabulous. I like that, Peter.
All right. So now one of the things that you are also taking part in and helping to ramrod is Christmas for Kids. I know Christmas for Kids for a couple of decades now has been helping kids. I remember Angel when she was here. She started the whole thing, and I will tell you, hundreds and I would venture to say thousands of kids have benefited from Christmas for Kids over the years. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, last year alone, it was $80,000 raised, and the exact amount is escaping me right now, but it was hundreds just last year alone.
Right.
But Christmas for Kids is our annual fundraise over on our sister station, 94.9 KISS FM. Next Friday is the date, Friday, December 6th. We will have, it's all day. It's Dennis starting in the morning, Denny in the afternoon. I'll be chiming in. Of course, I do have my sports obligations. I'll actually be with the men's basketball team in St. Paul when they play St. Thomas on that Saturday, but I'll be chiming in via phone as well. We'll have Ashley and Chris over from Z100. They'll be on for about an hour or so. We've got guests lined up all day. And how you can help out the listener, you can go to kissmasforkids.com. You can just make a straight donation if you'd like, but we also do have an auction that'll be up and running. The actual site will be up, I believe, today, for sure next week. And actually, for sure before Thanksgiving tomorrow, the site will be up. We'll get you some links on Facebook and all that, but you can start bidding actually on Friday. We've got next Friday, that is.
Yeah.
We've got some great items. I think the top one is a 7-night Baja Mexico cruise. And you can, the way the auction works, it starts kind of at, a much lower price than what a normal cruise would be.
Right. And up we go.
Exactly. And I mean, either way, you're going to save some money if you want to go on a Baja Mexico cruise, which who doesn't, of course. But that's one of the many items, plenty of gift certificates to a number of restaurants and breweries and liquor stores.
And there are so many sponsors, almost innumerable.
And a lot of those sponsors will be swinging by the studio. So, and a big thank you to them, because I can't even start to list how many people help out, but they're the ones who provide very generous donations off the bat. So, again, if you can help out, kissmasforkids.com is the website. Make your own donations as well.
Now, I will tell you that in my experience, when the time comes for the kids to actually do their shopping, it is an amazing, it brings tears to your eyes, really, when you see the kids come in with their parents. It's an undisclosed location, so nobody's there to, pester them or any of that. And the kids will often defer what they want and buy something for mom and dad, or for their little brother or sister or whatever it might be. It is so cool, and it's just a testament to the generosity of Missoula and, of course, all of our Town Square Media listeners. Now, the cool thing is, all of our stations have apps.
Yeah, right.
You know, and there isn't any reason why we couldn't give through the KISS FM app or the KGVO app or whatever. If you're out of town and you want to do it that way, I would think that would be the way to go.
Yes, 100% it is. And to your point about, the kids getting out and going shopping, it benefits a lot of groups in the area. I mean, some of the high schools in the area, YWCA. I mean, it even goes outside of Missoula. It's kind of Western Montana as a whole. So a number of organizations and groups benefit from this. And you're right. A lot of kids benefit from this. Like I said, hundreds, let alone just last year. But yeah, the KISS FM app, that'll have a lot of details on how to bid, where to bid, how to donate, all that, all the details that you're going to want. We have a list, again, of our auction items up on our website as well, kissfm.com. So, yeah, those are kind of your one-stop shops for everything Kissmas.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And
thanks for having me on.
Safe travels. Do you know where you're going from day to day?
Barely. It was funny. This last weekend, the weekend looked like this. We left Missoula at 5 a.m. for Bozeman for GrizzCat.
Right.
Watched that debacle.
Yeah.
And then from Bozeman, I flew to Denver to get to Minneapolis. It was about a 5 a.m. to midnight kind of day. Lady Grizz played the go for Sunday. We flew out immediately back to Missoula. So I was gone for 40 hours in about 4 different cities. It was a bit of a travel nightmare.
Well, go back in your lair, if you will, and maybe hibernate a little bit.
Thank you. Yes, I need that.
And thank you for sharing all that with us. And by the way, outstanding job.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Peter.
We're going to come right back. We have open phones, everybody, from now until 9 o'clock this morning. So whatever might be on your mind, 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309, or the KGVO app, as we just mentioned. And coming up at 9, we have folks from Missoula Rural Fire joining us. Chief Paul Findlay and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons will be here in the studio with us. All that's coming up here on Talkback today. So let's get things started with open phones at 721-1290 after this.
Hey, Missoula, we're getting...
Dennis Bragg, not much change in the weather outlook as we move into the long Thanksgiving weekend. We're still expecting more clouds Wednesday, possible fog in the valley at times, and chilly with highs only in the upper 30s, climbing from a morning low around 20. For Thanksgiving Day, mostly cloudy skies for that family or neighborhood turkey bowl game, and maybe clearing at times. But Friday and Saturday also look cloudy and cold. We don't see much chance of significant sun breaks until Sunday. Lows continue near 20 with afternoon highs not warmer than the upper 30s.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Iron Man. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die.
Fortunately, Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Hey, we are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number. It's open phones, and Susan is taking advantage of open phones this morning. Susan, good morning. What's on your mind, ma'am?
Well, I just want to remind everybody to be thankful to all of your family members, and that includes the elderly. And if you have elderly family members that are in nursing homes or are homebound, it's wonderful to reach out to children, but it's also important to reach out to those who maybe aren't adorable and cute, but are lonely and old and sick. And please go to our senior citizens that can't get out and can't go to all the events and aren't adorable, and make their Thanksgiving as happy and joyful as possible. And if they are able to get to church, offer them a ride to church, or at least go to visit them and make their Thanksgiving and Christmas as joyful as possible, because the holidays actually are a very difficult time for a lot of people who have lost someone or are in the process of losing someone. So please make this a joyful Christmas and holiday for those that are on the other end of life. And I hope that everyone that is listening today has a joyful and wonderful Thanksgiving, because we live in the greatest country that man and woman has ever known. And we are so lucky to be Americans. And I am so grateful that I was born in America. And I hope that all of us cherish the fact that in 1620, a few people got on a tiny little rickety boat and landed in America and came here and started our country. God bless America.
Beautifully said, Susan. Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. We appreciate it. Thank you for calling.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. There you go. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. If there's something on your mind this morning heading into the holiday weekend, a lot of folks will have Thursday. As a matter of fact, Nick and I will not be here Thursday or Friday, and we'll be back on Monday. So just so you know, in case you tune in and go, what happened? So we will have alternate programming, right?
Yeah. Spend time with your family, get, some stuff done, and take a break from Talkback for a couple days, and then come back Monday.
Gorge yourself with turkey and stuffing and pumpkin pie and mashed potatoes and gravy.
Where do you fall on that? Because there's kind of debates that go around with Thanksgiving food in general, and people talking about the holidays. And I know where I fall, but I'm curious. Do you look forward to that Thanksgiving meal every year and all the fixins and everything that goes with it, or is it just kind of another meal to you? How do you feel?
Well, I'm not a big eater, but I will say that when my wife and her family get down to some serious meal making, oh my goodness, yeah, the Lowen clan is amazing, and my wife is doing turkey, and of course we're going to get together with her sisters and have some fun there, and I for myself. If I've got on my plate, I've got some turkey and some mashed potatoes and some dressing and some stuffing, or whatever you want to call it, right? All I do is drown it in gravy, and I can't tell one from another once the gravy's on, so I just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that's exactly how they do it. So yeah, it's weird. I enjoy Thanksgiving, dinner, but I don't get crazy about it like everybody else does. Right. I mean, it's turkey, cool. I'm not a big cranberry sauce guy. Love the rolls, love the pumpkin pie. I absolutely cannot stand stuffing for whatever reason.
Really?
Stuffing just doesn't agree with me for whatever reason. All but usually there's like a green bean casserole, that's fine, or au gratin potatoes, stuff like that. But for me, as big football guy, like when Thanksgiving comes around, my attention is usually focused on
what comes after the meal.
Well, now there's 3 games, so there's all day is football, and so it's like I don't even want to take a break from the games to even eat and then sit down and do the formalities. So
now, do you eat? Do you have the whole TV tray thing going, or what?
No, not quite. We it's funny. Thanksgiving used to be kind of like that. I used to my mom moved here about 3-4 years ago now, and so I spend most of my Thanksgivings with her now that she's here, because I'm the only family she has here. I used to spend most Thanksgivings with my dad, which was much more formal. We had a bunch of family over, and so we'd go to grandma's house and or different other family and take a break from the games and watch it. Now it's nice that I have my mom here, because she likes Thanksgiving too and likes to do the whole meal thing, but she's totally fine with me sitting around watching football and we take a break between games to eat, but we kind of do a lot of appetizers and things like that, and just kind of, we still have the Thanksgiving meal later, but yeah, it's much more casual and less formal now, which is exactly how I would prefer it.
All right. So, hey, it's open phones. You guys want to chime in and share what you guys are going to be doing tomorrow and for the holiday weekend? I mean, a lot of folks are going to be traveling. Millions and millions and millions of people are going to be traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday. It could be one of the busiest ever. So, hopefully, my daughter and son-in-law and our beautiful new grandchild, Jacob Peter, will be flying in this afternoon, in fact, from Seattle for a visit, and we'll all have Thanksgiving together. And so anyway, that's going to be fun. But we have Jeff waiting on the line, and we'd love to hear from you. 721-1290 is our number. What do you guys do for Thanksgiving, if you don't mind sharing? 721-1290 is our number. We're coming right back after this.
Hello? Man, where are you? This wedding is lit. I thought you were coming.
Ooh, I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? You didn't get a flu shot?
I wish I did. I can't believe I'm missing out on Greg's wedding.
Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf.
Grandma's about to what? What?
Man, I'll call you back.
Oh, man.
Sounds like another case of flu FOMO. Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. It keeps you protected and also protects your loved ones. Protecting our community can't wait. So why get stuck inside with the flu? Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Talk back, rolling right along. It's open phones from now until 9 o'clock this morning. And then the gentleman from Missoula Rural Fire District will be here in the studio, Chief Paul Finley and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons, both joining us. But right now, we want to talk to you guys. Let's get Jeff on the line. Jeff, it's open phone, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, Montana. So Nick has a new nickname, is it? Mr. Fantastic?
No, Mr. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Oh.
Now, if you remember,
Okay,
if you remember, during one of the Blues Brothers, I think their trumpet player was Mr. Fabulous.
All right.
So there you go.
I was thinking of Billy Crystal's character. I can't remember his name now, but you look marvelous, but you look fabulous. Okay.
I'll take either one. That's fine with me.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have your family coming in, Peter?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
That's great. You have a chance to celebrate holiday with them.
Yeah,
and that kind of leads into what I wanted to do.
Yeah, my son Luke is going to be, of course, he lives here, so Luke's going to be there. Jenna and David and as my wife refers to him as Jakey Bakey, will be here, and so we'll get the whole family all getting together. But go ahead, please.
Yeah, there you go. Just nickname him JP. That way you get in there too.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into what I want to say. Rather, we spend most of the rest of the year talking about things and kind of highlighting differences and opinions and stuff. But I think tomorrow's all about gratitude, and I think gratitude is one of the least appreciated virtues out there, but I think it's the queen of all of them. If you can just feel grateful, it kind of leads to everything else. And even just for little things. I mean, sometimes I marvel just when I step into a shower that I can turn a knob and I have hot water coming out to take a shower, and all of the technology and civilization behind that one little thing in my life.
Yep.
And if we stop and take a look at things in our lives that we need to feel grateful for, I don't think we could ever stop counting them. So. And one of them is Talkback. I'm grateful for this forum that I frequent a lot, I know. But I'm grateful for it because it gives us a chance to have a voice and express opinions and have a dialogue. It's not the same as face-to-face, but it is good to be able to have a dialogue and bring differing opinions together. So I'm really grateful for you guys.
Well, I'm grateful for Nick as the producer because he's the one that gets all our cool guests for us. So
I appreciate that. And thank you, Jeff. No, we appreciate your calls. Always very insightful.
Well, one thing I have to disagree with you with, though, I have to leave you with this, is green bean casserole, Nick. There is nothing good about green bean casserole.
Yeah. Well, I just put on a good face. Let's put it that way. I it's not my favorite part of the dish. Like I said, none of it gets me out of bed in the morning, but at least it's there and it's, yeah, maybe if you tried my mom's, you'd think different. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. But you haven't just tried the right stuffing either. I don't know what kind of stuffing you've had. But,
I've had a lot of different kinds of stuffing, I can tell you. But yeah, no,
I might just have to drop some by the studio for you.
That would be great. That'd be funny.
Yeah, with our new security package, I'm not sure anybody could get through the door with dressing, but you never know. But you'll have to.
Is that right?
You'll have to leave the whatever it is outside the door, something like that.
Really, you have magnetometers now?
It's a little more secure these days.
Yes. We have a very secure place now, so we're good.
Oh, I didn't realize there was an issue with that. So
it's more preventative, not an issue, but yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving to all the listeners, or to the other listeners, I'd like to say, and looking forward to seeing you on the other side of the weekend, I guess.
Sounds good, man. All right, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, to you and your family as well. Let's get Ed on the line. Ed, good morning, sir. You're on Talkback. What's up?
Hey, thanks. We're in Western Washington now, and we're going to go down to Portland and have Thanksgiving with our first great grandson. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Congrats.
It's going to be but when I was a kid in Western Washington, we had, I think, about 10 aunts and uncles. And they all had kids, so I had cousins galore. And on Thanksgiving, we would be whisked off to the movie house. It seems like there was always an Elvis movie. Okay? I can't figure that out. But in any event, that's what I think more, about Thanksgiving is an Elvis movie. Got to put an Elvis movie on. Nice. Okay. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, my
God. Don't get me started. All right.
Thanks, Ed.
Out of your mouth. Get that turkey out of your mouth.
Unleash the Kraken. All right. We're going to come right back. All right. It's open phones for another half hour. Give us a call. What are you guys going to do for Thanksgiving? You're going to travel? You're going to stay home? You're going to eat? I remember when I was a kid, and my mom and my brother and I were very poor, we made sure that we had turkey TV dinners for Thanksgiving. So, but at least we had turkey. So anyway, and we were together, so that was good. We're going to come right back. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. We're coming right back after this. Want to hear from you.
Dennis Bragg, not much change in the weather outlook as we move into the long Thanksgiving weekend. We're still expecting more clouds Wednesday, possible fog in the valley at times, and chilly with highs only in the upper 30s, climbing from a morning low around 20. For Thanksgiving Day, mostly cloudy skies for that family or neighborhood turkey bowl game, and maybe clearing at times. But Friday and Saturday also look cloudy and cold. We don't see much chance of significant sun breaks until Sunday. Lows continue near 20 with afternoon highs not warmer than the upper 30s.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Well, the one thing we hadn't mentioned, we're back on Talkback, by the way. Phone lines are free and open if you have a question or a comment, anything that might be on your mind. We're talking about Thanksgiving and a lot of other things going on as we head into the holiday weekend. Give us a call. Tell us what your plans are if you'd like. We'd love to share those with you as well. 721-1290. By the way, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is the fact that the Grizzlies have we have a playoff game. A playoff game against Tennessee State. They're going to be coming into town. And this is going to be another one of those late nights because it's on ESPN2. And the kickoff is scheduled for 8:15. But I can pretty much guarantee you the last time we had an 8:15 kickoff turned out to be an 8:30 kickoff. So anyway, it's going to be another late night, and we are hoping for another sellout for the Montana Grizzlies as they if they can win this, then they go directly into, from what I understand, the round two, and we'd be playing. Let's put it this way: if we win, we get to go back to Brookings to play South Dakota State. So
yeah. A little bit of a tough draw there.
And that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of Grizz fans were hoping for the 13 seed. We ended up with the 14 seed. Our game will be aired on ESPN2, which is good for, recognition and things like that.
You bet.
On a Saturday night, holiday weekend. But, people may yell at me, but we're not going to go to the playoff game this year just because it is normally the weather doesn't impact us. Like
right.
we'll normally go, but it being such a late 8:15 start and, we're still kind of down in the glumps over kind of how the season ended. And, obviously the fact that we should beat this team. I mean, hopefully, pretty handily. And then obviously, who knows what could happen after that. But we're going to stay home and watch the game this year and root them on from the couch.
But if I remember correctly, we were kind of the walking wounded after the Grizz Cat game. Several of our impact players seemed to be limping or with various bumps and bruises. But hey, they're tough kids, and I know we'll have a great game. So I have to be there.
You will be there. We need you to be there. Yeah, they don't need me to be there. They need you to be there.
Yes, all right. Let's get Emmett on the phone. Emmett, good morning, sir. You are on Talkback. What's on your mind?
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Well, some more good news about Trump, and I've heard this before, but I was reading about it in the paper. He wants to end the wokeness in education on day one. He just wants to end all this political correctness and the sexualization of our kids and transgendered things and political correctness and just get back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. God bless Donald Trump for doing this. I'm grateful that he's going to be back in the White House in January. I mean, we should literally be thanking God for Donald Trump. I don't know how he's going to do it, but his education secretary is going to play a big role, and I've been screaming about this for years, and a lot of other people have as well. I also hope he ends this whole idea of you can't embrace your close friends in school or hug and kiss them or tickle them, and because I love my friends, and I always wrestle around with my friends in junior high because we loved each other. Can you imagine being punished for doing something good? That's horrible, I'm like a big Care Bear in many ways. I'm even against this whole idea of adults can't embrace children because that's not pedophilia. I hate pedophiles, but we've just got to end this political correctness. And I think Donald Trump is the man that's going to help us do that. And
well, if I could share something with you real quick here, just you were talking about education. Linda McMahon is the person that former President Trump, the President-elect Trump, has selected to be the education director of the Department of Education. And it says here, President-elect Trump plans to nominate former pro wrestling CEO Linda McMahon to lead the education department. So there goes your wrestling deal. I mean, I love that. I'm not sure if tickling's going to go along with that, but you never know.
Yeah, well, God bless Donald Trump. A happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. And I'm glad Donald Trump believes in saying Merry Christmas, because so do I, not Happy Holidays. So, all right. So I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
All right. Same to you, buddy. Appreciate it. 721-1290 is our number. By the way, if you don't remember this, I will bring it to your to recall here. One of the things that President-elect Trump ran upon was that he was actually considering closing the U.S. Department of Education altogether, and yet he still has nominated someone to be the chairperson of that. So anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think that one was going to happen.
Anyway, 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. We'd love to hear from you. We do have guests coming in at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll be talking to the folks from Missoula Rural Fire, Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Finley. is going to be joining us, along with Deputy Chief Corey Horsons. And if you remember, just a couple of days, maybe about less than a week ago, I had a chance to visit with Deputy Chief Horsons about a dramatic rescue that was affected by a Missoula rural fire up on Blue Mountain Road when a car slid down the icy road, and about 6 or 7 people had to be rescued. Several had to be transported to the hospital, but as far as I know, no real serious injuries. But that's the sort of thing that these individuals with Missoula Rural Fire and Missoula City Fire and all of our first responders do on a regular basis, and they're very much unsung heroes. So,
and these are they're two different entities, obviously.
Oh yeah,
than Missoula City Fire, who obviously had the levee situation months ago there, and so these guys are going to come in and talk about some of the challenges that they're facing as well. So
it's going to be very, very interesting because. Hey, gentlemen, how you doing? They're already here, in fact. So, and
we still have open phones.
Yes, we do. We have open phones for another 20 minutes. So if you have something on your mind, give us a call, 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. Thanksgiving right around the corner. You have plans? Give us a call. Let us know what's going on. We'll be right back after this.
Call 123-SEAMLESS.
Shop the best Black Friday weekend deals up to 70% off, only at Tanger Outlets. Save big at Nike Factory Store, Coach, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and hundreds more. Find something for everyone on your list during our biggest sale of the year. Hundreds of brands, endless gifting options. Unwrap the best at Tanger Outlets. Stores open at 6 a.m. Black Friday. Get your savings at Tanger.com.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I like a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
All right, what's going on with you this morning? The phone lines are open at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. I was just perusing the KGVO website, and our compatriot Chris Wolf over at Z100 put up a story about the Guy Fieri has 2 Missoula eateries featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and that's this week. That's totally cool. So I had not heard about that, but You
didn't hear when he was in town?
I did. Well, I heard when he was in town, but I didn't realize that he had visited not one but 2 places. So.
Yeah. I think that episode's supposed to air on Friday. If I remember
okay.
Right.
All right.
I know it's Friday or Saturday. I'd have to pull up Wolfie's article to
I've got it right here. Would you like me to reveal?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, one of them is Bigga Pizza.
Yeah, I knew Big. Yeah.
And the other one is Vera Donuts, which is over on South Higgins. Again, that's rumor is. The second location will be Vera Donuts. So
okay. Yeah. Well, what day is the episode supposed to? Does it say?
Let's see. Well, one will air this Friday, which is tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Which is sorry.
Almost.
What day is it? Yeah, I'm missing Thanksgiving. 2 days from now, Friday on the Food Network at 7 p.m. local time. So it's very cool.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, if you haven't seen Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives before, it's a pretty fun little show. He comes in and Guy Fieri focuses on kind of local places.
I want to know if he drove his red Camaro all the way up to Missoula, Montana.
Usually that's a staple, so I don't know. I don't remember seeing pictures of that floating around when he was here, but yeah, no, it's a fun show and cool that Missoula will get some recognition, and and I love Big Pizza. Big Pizza is great. So
well, I'm going to play the rube here. Okay, I don't get out much, as you know, so I've never eaten at Big Pizza. Mm-hmm. And I've never gone to Vera Donuts.
Oh, shame on you.
So I'm looking forward to finding about stuff about my own town that I don't know about. So
yeah, maybe you'll learn and then decide to go. Yeah, I don't know what I could tell you about. I mean, Big is just a good pizza place. They got other stuff too, but they're probably one of the better pizza places in town, in my opinion. And then Vera Donuts is kind of the only place in town that does those kind of specialty, bigger types of donuts and stuff. So yeah, they're both kind of Missoula staples, Peter.
Well, I'm just looking. Luckily, they put the link the websites of each place to the story, and I'm just looking at their the Vera Donuts logo. It's an amazing logo. I mean that is some really cool art going on there. Looks like an Amazon goddess with a pitchfork and a whole bunch of donuts skewered on it. So anyway, it's very cool. And anyway, so how about that? That's pretty cool. We love it when Missoula gets good press.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, and not to totally switch gears, obviously,
okay.
But if in terms of other news that happened yesterday, they did officially charge an individual with deliberate homicide yesterday. So if you were hearing rumblings about that situation, because there was kind of little information that came out yesterday, well, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, but more info came out on that yesterday. So we have that story up on our website as well. But yeah, a 51-year-old individual was officially charged with deliberate homicide in Missoula. So
that is, yeah.
And we haven't had many of those in the past.
No, we haven't.
5 years or so. I mean, I think I can probably maybe 3 or 4. I'd have to look. So yeah, I mean, never good when those type of things happen. Obviously,
you bet. So as we head into the holiday, we have all sorts of things coming up. Thanksgiving, and then following that, of course, we have Christmas and then New Year's, and so it's going to be. Let's just put it this: it's going to be a very busy time. I'm also really interested in finding out what people's plans are for the holidays. If you are going to be visiting friends or doing whatever, give us a call, 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. Or if there's something going on in Missoula that you're concerned about, we'd love to hear about that as well. If there's something that you're upset about. I had a very interesting chat yesterday with a gentleman who is with I believe it's the Missoula Tenants Union. And they're going to have something called a Renters Rodeo coming up in a week or so. And we had a very nice chat about the fact that they are, going to bat for people who rent. And there are thousands and thousands of renters in Missoula.
Yeah, you're looking at one of them.
Yeah, I know, right across the way here.
I've been pretty vocal about that. Yeah, I'm interested to see. Yeah, hear more about how your guys' conversation went. What is just supposedly supposed to happen at this Renters Rodeo?
Well, the Renters Rodeo is going to be a fun gathering of people who rent in Missoula. It's going to be held, I think, just down the street at the. Is it called the Union Club? Is that what it's called? I forget what it's called. Anyway, it's right down the street, and they're going to have all sorts of food and games, and it's just going to be a fun thing, specifically for people who rent to go and share their experiences and get more information from the folks to help them. So anyway, let's go right to the phones. That's what Open Phones is all about. We've been yammering on long enough. Tom, good morning, sir. You're on Talkback. What's up?
Yeah, good morning. Hope everybody has a safe and grateful Thanksgiving. So anyway, I'd just like to put in my 2 cents after the election we had a couple weeks ago. Everybody now is telling us that the world is going to end, and these are the worst cabinet picks they've ever seen, and how Donald Trump is going to be a dictator, and everything is going to be horrible. When we just lived through the last, going on 4 years now, of one of the most tumultuous periods in our history, where we had the keeping kids out of school. You know, it goes on and on and on and on, the price of everything. And you know, but I'm thinking if the vice president had won the election, everybody would be so, you know, optimistic about how everything's going to be great.
Don't forget the joy. Don't forget the joy. The joy is very important.
Don't forget that things are going to change. And, you know, anyway, so, you know, thanks you guys for, you know, the great year. And, you know, I know you guys are bigger football fans than I am, but I guess if you're a Montanan, you can get behind the state team. And, you know, I know the Grizz didn't have a great year, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, we still have two state teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Of course, I think MSU now has, by virtue of beating us, they're the number one seed. Is that right?
Oh, they've been the number one seed. Yeah. They're far and away the number one seed.
Anyway.
Something about the Grizz went down between 9 and 16 or so. I don't know what it was, but anyway, I watch all the local news, and I'm a big fan of Montana. So you know, it doesn't matter with the Grizz or the state. I mean, that's probably a blasphemy in Western Montana, but you know, that's okay. You know, it's great to have rivalries. You know, I grew up in a place where they had a huge college. You know, and college football is just great.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, Tom, I will tell you this. My wife is much more fair than I am. Okay. Because and she always, you know, when the Grizzlies lose to the Bobcats, she always puts her arm around my shoulder and says, "Honey, remember they're Montana kids too." Okay.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the kid that did the most damage to the Grizzlies on Saturday is from Missoula, and believe it or not,
kid.
Hold on, and I believe there are kids from Bozeman who play for the Grizzlies. So they're Montana kids. We kind of just, you know, we got to give up on all this vitriol and say, hey, let's get behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other day, it's probably been a couple of weeks ago, I actually saw you in the booth on a little clip on TV. I probably on K-Pax or something. And that was great. But what was great is that you looked down at that book. You know, that binder that had, you know, how you do it, and it was great. It was in huge print. You know, I guess you can see it when you look down. There's no mistakes.
I specifically asked for a 14 or a 16 font. Okay, because I will tell you, that book is very, as Nick knows, that book is very thick. And when I get there when I get there before the game, I get there about an hour and a half before game time, so I can go through that book and read every single word that I'm going to have to say out loud in the stadium, just so I can wrap my lips around them, and I won't be mumbling and fumbling. And there's always some very interesting names and, you know, things that I have to do, and so and then of course the power went out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but I guess you were still okay. They either had you on what do you call that, an ever-ready battery or something backup, so your voice could be heard, and the referee also.
Yeah, the only two things that were working were my mic and the referee's mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, it's good.
Anyway, guys, listen, I so appreciate you guys, and we listen every morning, and you know, I call in once in a while. It's not as often as some, but you know, I still manage to get my 2 cents worth in. So everybody have a wonderful holiday.
All right, with inflation, it's worth a nickel. Thanks for the call. We're going to come right back. Stay with us. Phone lines are open at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. Open phones continues for about another 6 minutes. We'll be right back. When you have 721-1290 is our number. Phone lines are open and free. If you have something you'd like to share, got about another 4 minutes or so to do that. So the phone lines are open at 721-1290. By the way, one thing that just wrapped up this week is what we call the Guerrilla Turkey Drive. I know Chris and Ashley with the morning show on Z100 was really fun. Whenever someone would bring a turkey donation to the door, they would ring our doorbell, and they would put on their turkey costumes and run all the way down the stairs and greet them and take their donations. I've just got the numbers here that Chris posted. He says, let's see just how much people. We wrapped up the 30th anniversary of the Guerrilla Turkey Drive. They're humbled again by just how much people are willing to help. This year, we're able to collect 837 turkeys Wow. And about $500 in cash for area food banks. And so I want to say thank you to all you guys for your generosity. It's amazing.
And they made it pretty clear to us that there was more demand this year than in years past, and a lot more people in need. And so I know we had Ace on for the first 5 minutes talking about Christmas for Kids earlier. So for those of you that missed that, Christmas for Kids this year is still going on. Friday, December 6th will be the big on-air day, and auction items, websites, all those things should hopefully be going up by tomorrow. But they're already hearing that preliminary that there's going to be a lot of kids and a lot of people in need, and their requests are already higher than they were last year. So, yeah, now is definitely the time. If you can help, they need it.
Well, I will tell you that the Christmas for Kids is one of those iconic things, and they've been doing it for over 20 years now. And it has grown and grown and grown. And actually, just listening, I mean, you want to call and make a donation and all that and bid on things, but just listening to the entire, it's an entire whole day long. It isn't just from 6 to 10 in the morning. It starts at 6 a.m. and goes all day, I think until 5 or 6 at night, or until they finally close things down. So I'm hoping that everybody out there will take a minute to tune into KISS FM, or go on to the KISS FM app or the website and find out more about Christmas for Kids, and plan, if you would, of course, and when you go on to KISS FM, you'll see a list of all the auction items that'll be up for bids, and you can just start bidding right away. And and
then there's items you can just get outright.
Right,
but
exactly,
yeah, there's, I mean, because they got their big items, smaller items, and if you just want to just to donate, those are options too. But yeah, they have a whole variety of stuff, and if you can only donate a little bit, that's fine. Every little bit helps. So
let's put it this way: it's a very painless and a way to help people in Missoula, and it's also one of the things my first radio boss said: if it ain't fun, it ain't good radio. And I will tell you that there's few things in the world more fun than listening to the folks on KISS FM as they do the Christmas for Kids. So it's going to be a blast, and we hope that you will join them. So there you go. Anyway, all right. So we are just about ready to wrap up open phones for this hour. And coming up, actually waiting in the wings right now, in our, we would like to call our green room, our Chief Paul Findlay and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons are going to talk to us what's going on with Missoula Rural Fire and the challenges that they are facing. And they'll be sharing those with us. And, of course, taking your phone calls at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. Or, of course, you can use the KGVO app to send in your message. We'll be back right after the top of the hour.
This is Talkback, 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309.
This is Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. KGVO, Missoula's news and weather station.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is hour number 2 of Talkback for this Wednesday, November 27th. Talkback this morning is brought to you by 123 Seamless Gutters, family owned and operated, top-notch customer service for you. So give them a call, 406-240-2669. As we say, they're protecting the foundation of your future. Making room for you, that's Y West Storage. Out at the Y on Two Smokes Way. You need a place to store your stuff. Here's their number, 406-510-0590. Because again, they're making room for you at Y West. Phillips Janitorial offers both residential and commercial cleaning, your home and your business. They've got you covered. No job too big or small for them. Call Phillips, 406-260-6617, and by Harrington Surgical Supply, where appointments are preferred for mastectomy fittings and custom compressions, but walk-ins are always welcome.
The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Hey, we are privileged to have with us here in the studio this morning Nick Christensen, right over there, producing Talkback. I'm Peter Christian. Joining us here in the studio are Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Findlay and, of course, Deputy Chief Corey Horsons. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Peter. Thanks for having us this morning. We look forward to the discussion.
You bet. Okay, so as you and I were discussing before we got started this morning, the Missoula City Fire Department, they scored big this past year. They got the levy. They've got an extra $7 million to help out with hiring new firefighters, things like that. But what people don't realize, especially when they just move here, there are 2 firefighting and service provider entities here in Missoula, one with the city and one with the county. So if you wouldn't mind sharing your story.
You bet. So, absolutely, you're correct, Peter. There are 2 separate and distinct fire departments here in Missoula and the surrounding area. We work very closely together every day and enjoy the relationship that we maintain between us. The Missoula Rural Fire District was started in the 1960. 61 is the charter for the Missoula Rural Fire District, and it was brought into existence by the folks of Orchard Homes and Target Range as a necessity because of lack of fire coverage at that point. And so one of our first fire stations, as we understand it at least, is on 3rd Street around what used to be the Goofy's gas station and what have you. And so over the years, since that point, we've expanded out. We have 5 fire stations, used to have 6, but because of expansion by and annexation by the city of Missoula, we have had a station 3 rather that was on Gilbert Street in the Rattlesnake and no longer exists. But because of the closest station agreements that we have in place and what have you with the city of Missoula, they cover that area for us. And so we hope to be beneficial to them, and we believe we are, and they are beneficial to us, but certainly 2 different fire departments that exist.
So is that by statute, or is it just the way things have worked out?
Just the way things have worked out. Part of it is, though, statute, too, recognizing that a Class 1 city, which Missoula is that, requires a fire department that's staffed the way that they are. And so we are under less of as a fire district, also governed by statute, we are under less of a restriction or imposed upon us, I suppose. So we don't quite have the staffing that the city fire department has, and we don't run the call volume that the city fire department has. We have an enormous area for us to cover.
It's a very big area.
Yes, and so we struggle with that side of things, just in the fact that some of our responses can go, well past Bonner, well up Highway 12 and what have you. And so some of it is far reaching. So.
All right. So obviously the challenge here, the first thing is awareness. People need to understand when they drive, down Reserve here, right across from Rosar's, there's a fire station.
Yes,
but it's a rural fire station.
It is a rural fire station, and that particular station is about 60-some years old.
Right.
I think it was built in 1963. And since that time, of course, Missoula has grown, and that station now sits inside the city limits. And again, we share some responsibilities on both sides of the street, and what have you, and it's serving the folks well as it is right now, but recognizing that our jurisdiction, generally speaking, for that particular fire station is further to the west. And so we're actually going through a station location study right now put on by a third party, and they are helping us determine kind of the needs going forward, just so that we are keeping up with growth and call volume, response times, a long list of items that we pay attention to in order to best serve the public that we serve.
Well, before we take a commercial break here, just in a minute or so, what is it that the public needs to do to help you grow safely and responsibly?
Well, we are currently in the process of an accreditation, and so we are looking at that, and we've asked the public for their input through meetings and what have you, and we're working on a build out of that as far as what the public can do to help us. They have been extremely supportive of us in the past, and we're looking for the potential potential, at least. We don't know what that amounts to just yet. We're waiting on the study to come back. But we definitely see the need to update or potentially change the location of some of our fire stations.
Hey, with that, we're up against a break. By the way, all the phone lines are open. If you have a question or a comment for Paul Findlay or Corey Horsons or with Missoula Rural Fire, we're here to talk about studies that they're doing, their needs as we go into the future. And Missoula, since Missoula is going to do nothing but keep growing, right? I mean, we just can't stop it.
That's right.
That's right. And so they need help. And so we're going to talk about how all of us can help them as well as they help us on a daily basis. So phone lines are open at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. I'd love to have some calls from you for the folks who serve you and save your lives every now and then from the Missoula Rural Fire. Back right after this.
Dennis Bragg, not much change in the weather outlook as we move into the long Thanksgiving weekend. We're still expecting more clouds Wednesday, possible fog in the valley at times, and chilly with highs only in the upper 30s, climbing from a morning low around 20. For Thanksgiving Day, mostly cloudy skies for that family or neighborhood turkey bowl game, and maybe clearing at times. But Friday and Saturday also look cloudy and cold. We don't see much chance of significant sun breaks until Sunday. Lows continue near 20 with afternoon highs not warmer than the upper 30s.
Hey, welcome back to Talkback. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. Our guests in the studio, Missoula Rural Fire District Chief Paul Findlay and Rural Fire Deputy Chief Corey Horsons are both here in the studio. And the phone lines are open at 721-1290 if you have a question or a comment for these gentlemen. Just real quickly, we were discussing a story that I did with you, Corey, about how your crews responded to an accident that occurred up on Blue Mountain Road, which and that primarily occurred in the dark. And so, tell us about some of the, if you will, some of the details of that rescue that are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you bet, Peter. I believe it was last Wednesday evening. Our crews were dispatched up at the 365 road on Blue Mountain for a vehicle that had gone off the road. From what I wasn't on the scene, but from what I gather, the vehicle had 4 young people inside, and they had gone off the road. None of the folks were wearing seatbelts. It sounded like a couple of them got ejected, and 2 of them were trapped in the vehicle about 50 feet below the road in the dark and on an icy, narrow roadway. So we responded up there with 3 of our units, about 10 people in total from Missoula Rural. Law enforcement had already arrived and assisted 2 of the folks up the hill to the road, and 2 people remained in the vehicle that were trapped. And it was, from what I gather, it was the way the vehicle was perched on the side of the mountain required a very technical stabilization before they felt comfortable extricating one of the victims in particular. So it took almost 4 hours for them to stabilize the vehicle in such a way they felt comfortable lifting the vehicle to safely extricate the person. So as you might imagine, it would be a logistical challenge just to keep somebody warm for 4 hours in the dark and snow on the side of a road. So very proud of the way our crews performed in that particular incident. And when they got back to the station, you could just see the amount of stress on each of their faces. They knew full well how immense the consequences were in that circumstance, and they all worked extremely well, and I'm pleased to report there was a happy outcome. I haven't heard any reports as to how any of the victims are doing,
right.
But I do know that when they were all transported to the hospital in relatively stable conditions. So I think that's a win for our department, and certainly speaks volumes about the quality of folks we have working for us.
There has got to be a great deal of pride associated with what you guys do. I mean, but whether it's, any first responder, right? Whether it's police, fire, you name it. There's got to be, after all the training, all the work, and that's exactly what you train for, right?
Absolutely. Our folks are well trained and well equipped, and that's in no small part due to the support that we receive from the community. But absolutely, we have some of the best and brightest fire department firefighters in the state. And our community is fortunate to have what we do. I'm extremely fortunate to be in the administrative team and help to ensure that they have the equipment and training they need to do their job safely and effectively.
Cool. Let's get to the phone and say good morning to Doug. Doug, good morning. You're on with Paul Findlay and Corey Horsons. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Well, I was the first sleeper at the Rural Fire Department when they first formed. We were not equipped or trained in those days like this present Rural Fire Department, which I salute for the Blue Mountain Rescue. That had to be a pretty daunting task. But Matt Kamaevich was the chief of the Rural Fire Department in those days, and Red Cottrell was a battalion chief, and Don Anderson was a battalion chief, and I was the grunt.
And we're supposed to believe that you're the grunt, is that right, Doug?
Trust me, I was the grunt. Absolutely. So it was established. There's a cedar products firm there, and adjacent to or across the street from the Coke Company in those days. But we were headquartered out of there, and lots of great experience. However, we did not have the equipment that they have today. And so I salute them as a rural fire department for their professionalism and the excellence in training.
Well, Doug, I would imagine you probably more than almost anybody else would be able to certify how important these individuals are to the community, especially now that we've grown so much, and the fact that we have two excellent firefighting institutions here in our city, both deserve a great deal of support.
They certainly do, Peter, and I'll tell you, they're first class. Both departments are first class with first class employees, first class training, and first class equipment. And like I say, it wasn't that way back in 1960.
Well, Doug, it's always a pleasure to hear your voice, and thank you for your service to our community.
Well, I just called in because when I heard your speakers, I was the first sleeper, and as I say, the first sleeper was a grunt.
All right. Doug, it's always a pleasure. Have a great day, sir. Okay,
thank you.
You bet. And we're going to come right back. We have Larry waiting to visit. Again, our guests here in the studio are Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Finley and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons. We're talking about what's going on with Missoula Rural Fire and their needs, and they're going to be talking about that, hopefully visiting with you, answering your questions. Phone lines are open. We're going to get back to Larry's call when we return right after this.
Montana State News Network.
I'm Dennis Bragg. Montana power rates will be dropping at least for this winter as the Public Service Commission approves an interim rate reduction of just under $8 a month for the average Northwestern Energy customer. But the savings are offset for many, with the commission also approving a bump in natural gas rates of just over $4 a month average. And the PSC will continue evaluating Northwestern's request for a larger hike in power rates next year based on determining whether a gas-fired generator near Billings was a prudent investment. It's not just the job market that's continuing to boom in Montana. Jason Laird reports new statistics show business growth is strong as well.
Thousands of new businesses are coming to Montana. Secretary of State Christy Jacobson said last week that more than 10,000 registered in September and October, which will also have fees waived for annual reports for the 2025 deadline. Jacobson's office also noted that this year is on pace to break last year's record-breaking year for the number of registered businesses. 8 of the 10 months this year saw higher numbers than in 2023. Reporting for the Montana State News Network, I'm Jason Laird.
If you're worried about fire in your community, the Forest Service is offering grants of up to $250,000 to help. The Community Wildfire Defense Grants can help towns, local fire departments, tribes, and even neighborhoods if they're developing a fire plan, low income, and at risk of fire. Wildfire Crisis Communication Lead Stephanie Spencer says it's a tool to help with hazards.
So, for instance, if they had a big windstorm that knocked down a bunch of trees and put a bunch of fuels on the ground, then that would be something that would qualify them. Or even just a drought or insect infestation that may have happened that's creating a fuel loading issue.
Full details at grants.gov. Missoula County authorities identifying the injured woman found unconscious in a car Sunday as 37-year-old Audrey Bird, James Edward Brown being charged with deliberate homicide. This is the Montana State News Network.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to Talk Back. 721-1290 is our number. Special program going on right now with the gentleman from Missoula Rural Fire, Chief Paul Findley, and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons, both here in the studio with us this morning. And we've got folks waiting on the line to visit with you. Larry, good morning, sir. You're on with Paul and Corey. Go ahead.
Good morning. I wondered if you folks could compare and contrast how you staff your...
Larry, we lost you.
Just kind of do a quick comparison of how the two are staffed and how they respond to emergency situations.
Now, Larry, would you mind just repeating your question, because you kind of cut out there a little bit? If you could just repeat the question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you could compare and contrast how you on the rural fire respond and how you're staffed at your stations, and compare that to how the city is staffed and how they respond to emergency situations.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Gentlemen, please go ahead.
You bet.
You bet, Larry. Thanks for your call. This is Corey, by the way. The city and rural, although we both perform a lot of the same functions in terms of providing fire, emergency medical services, technical rescue, and hazardous material response, there is a bit of a difference in how we're staffed. The city, by statute, is required to have a fully paid fire department. So with their 5 stations, they have a minimum of 16 people on duty each day, 3 people at each of their stations, plus a battalion chief. Whereas us as a fire district, we don't have that mandate to have a fully paid fire department. We're what we call a combination department. So we're made up of both paid firefighters as well as some volunteer firefighters and resident firefighters. So at our headquarters station there on South and Reserve, we have 3 paid firefighters each day, as well as our battalion chief. And then our other 4 stations, our outlying stations, have a minimum of 2 paid firefighters 24 hours a day. And then we have at least 1 resident firefighter who helps out each night from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So we have a little bit less in terms of the way we're staffed, but in our call volume is a considerably less than what the city is. We run approximately 4,000 calls a year. This year we're going to come close to running 4,000 calls, whereas the city, I believe, is up over 12,000 a year. I may be off on my numbers a little bit there as far as their call volume, but those are some of the differences that we experience. I think one of the most significant things that we encounter that the city does not is the fact that only a small percentage of the Missoula Rural Fire District actually has fire hydrants, where the city shows up to a building that's on fire. They attach their fire truck to the hydrant system, and they have an unlimited supply of water, whereas in the rural areas, we don't have that luxury. So we have to bring our own water with us. So each of our stations is equipped with a 2,000-gallon water tender, and we have to be well-versed in shuttling our own water to provide fire protection. So those are some of the differences and similarities between the two organizations. Happy to answer any other questions you might have.
It also may be worth mentioning that our day is, we consider 24 hours, of course, in our day. So our staffing is round the clock, of course, during that daytime that Corey had mentioned.
All right, well, Larry is gone, so let's get another call in. This is Joe. Joe, good morning, sir. You're on with the folks in Missoula Rural Fire. Go ahead.
Well, hello, and I'm actually with Missoula Rural Fire, their chiefs. I thought maybe we've talked from time to time about the combining the two agencies. I thought maybe people would be interested in what that would involve and what it would look like.
All right. Well, Joe, thanks for the call. So, gentlemen, I would imagine that would be a kind of a logical thing to consider. So, if you could address that.
You bet. So, we are attempting to do more and more together as our agencies recognize that we are beneficial to one another, and we have been in the past. But we continue to recognize what one can offer to the other, and none of us can stand alone 100% in the rescues and calls that we do. And so part of our process currently is to bring some of our rescue contingents together. So each agency is responsible for confined space. For instance, Swift Water Rescue. We're on a water rescue call right now of a gentleman who apparently fell into the river. And so we do a lot of rescues, and they are labor intensive, and so we, as two separate fire departments, are working together more and more all the time. And our administrations and our workforces are meeting, and we are attempting to be as beneficial to the community as a whole as we can be. Although we're two standalone agencies at this point, and state law does not necessarily allow for any type of a consolidation, at least at this point. We do work closely together, and it is our desire to continue to do so. We feel that serves the public the best that can be done, and it also allows us to effectively mitigate rescues and fires and what have you with the assistance of the folks right next door to us, which is the city fire department. And so just being in a neighborly sense, right, that we're working closely to do that.
And so go ahead. I was just going to say, are you still there, Joe? Okay,
yes, I am.
Go ahead, please. I interrupted you. Go ahead, please.
No, that was pretty much my comment, and Paul answered it.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. And with that, we're pretty close to a break, so let's do that, and then we'll get Jeff's call. By the way, our guests here in the studio, in case you just joined us, Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Findlay and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons are here in the studio with us, and we're talking about their needs, the things that they are looking at as Missoula continues to grow and expand, as you know it's doing, and what their agency, what their needs are, and what their requests are to the community that they serve. So we're going to come right back with more right after this.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Okay, we are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. 1-800-568-5309. Before we get to our next caller, now I know that, Corey, you wanted to address a little bit about what Joe was talking about.
Yeah, although we are two separate agencies, the rural fire department as well as the city, we're always looking for ways to provide a better, more efficient service to the public. And one of the ways we're doing that currently is by the implementation of automatic vehicle location. Right now we have historically anyway, for the last several years or decades even, both agencies have had a closest station response agreement, whereby the closest station, be it rural or city, will respond to an emergency. We're working toward improving upon that, whereby each of our apparatus will be equipped with a GPS locator. It's actually an iPad. So when a dispatch or when 911 receives a call for service, it will, depending on the nature of that call and the acuity, will dispatch the closest resources, knowing that we're not always in our fire station. So I think that's just one example of how we're working together and cooperating with the city of Missoula. Our two agencies are cooperating to provide a more efficient and more rapid response to the citizens.
With that in mind, I'm curious about the 911 system because they're some of the hardest working folks in show business, as you know. I mean, they provide an amazing 24/7, 365 service.
Absolutely.
So when a call comes in to 911, I've got a fire. So the 911 takes it and they send it to the appropriate agency. How does that work?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, as you mentioned, Peter, the 911 center definitely does not get enough credit for the work that they do. They really are the first responders, and none of us could do our jobs without them. They're housed over in the basement of the courthouse on West Broadway, and when a call comes in, they have a call taker who determines whether or not or what type of call it is, be it law enforcement or medical or fire, and then dispatches the most appropriate agency. So all of that is handled by the 911 center, and none of our agencies have our own dispatchers per se. That's all handled by the county, who dispatch not only for fire and emergency medical services or EMS, but also dispatch for Missoula City Police Department as well as the sheriff's office. So they're busy folks down there.
A very big job, you bet. All right, let's get right back to the phones. Jeff has been waiting. Jeff, good morning. You're on with Paul Findlay and Corey Horsons. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good morning. My question kind of segues into what you were talking about, because you mentioned earlier that you have a rural fire department in the middle of the city now due to city growth. And that sounds, particularly in light of the recent referendum on funding for a new fire station. Something seems wrong here if there's a rural fire department in the city, and then the city is looking at building one that's out closer to the county. And you talked about combining, but is there any sort of intermediate steps of rebalancing? I mean, there's a fire station inside the city near Rose Hours, you said, right there on Reserve and South, is it?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. So is there any thought about using that as a city, and then a city fire station, and then maybe looking, I don't know which way you would go, south or west or northeast, how you would go out in terms of where your biggest demands are, but actually put something out in the county that would maybe be better able to respond to the county rather than have to come all the way through Missoula and Reserve Street traffic and that sort of thing. I guess just general rebalancing and looking at scope of responsibilities given the territorial changes.
Okay, Jeff, thanks for the call. Gentlemen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. And we're actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because you're exactly right. When that station at South and Reserve was built back in 1962 or 63, that station was out in the county. It was out in, kind of in the middle of nowhere, whereas now we know the city has grown up to grown considerably, and that station is now in the city limits. So recognizing that, the best service to the folks who pay taxes to the Missoula Rural Fire District is to have stations that are more centrally located in those response areas. We've engaged the services of a third party called ESCI, Emergency Services Consulting Incorporated, and they're conducting a station location study, not just for our agency, but for the city as well. So we're working collaboratively with the city of Missoula to determine where the best station locations are for the community as a whole, not just where the best station locations are for the Missoula Rural Fire District or where the best station locations would be for the city of Missoula, but as a whole. And so we've received a draft back from that, but we're awaiting the final result. And we're optimistic that study will show us where the most efficient locations are in the interest of both agencies, but also for the community as a whole.
All right, let's move on, and let's get Rod's call on the line. Rod, good morning. You're on Talkback with Paul Findlay and Corey Horsons. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to say I appreciate the services of the Missoula Rural Fire Department when it comes to structure and people protection. However, I do have a concern here. It seems like we're on a bond tour in lieu of this study that they have going on where we're going to put fire stations. I don't know if we're aware what the current tax bills are on property owners right now, but the city just got a big bond put on theirs, and I'm guessing the results of this study are going to come to another bond. In this past political season, we heard how all this was the governor's fault, which I disagreed with because we are loading it with these school bonds and fire bonds, and that really, raise the property tax. My other question is, I would think if this study was conducted, it might actually find that one or the other fire departments could reduce station numbers to reduce costs. And yet another point, if it's against the law to combine both fire departments, why don't we work in the legislature here at the state level and get that changed? I know the law enforcement in Butte and Silver Bowl is combined, so I would think it'd be just as easy to do that with fire departments.
All right.
And I'll let you answer.
Good questions. Thanks for the call, gentlemen.
Yeah, definitely some good points that Rod brought forward. And our discussions recently have been focused around the legislative efforts that could happen. There was a bill a couple years ago that was tried and ultimately didn't happen, but certainly there's a number of agencies throughout the state who would like to have the opportunity to do so. So legislatively, you're absolutely right, Rod. That is a fix that needs to happen, and we will continue to pursue that. One of the things that I will say about this study that's taking place now that we're awaiting the results of is that a lot of this is based on forecasted growth, and so we've taken the issue at the Y, for instance. Our fire station number 2, which is out past the airport, services that Y in conjunction with Frenchtown Rural Fire District. And so, as you know, there's some huge growth plan for that area. And so, in order to get in front of that, this survey rather was conducted in order to help us out. And we don't know what we don't know, obviously, and so we're using all of the information that we can gather through a number of different agencies locally and GIS mapping, what have you, in order to predict what Missoula will look like in 15 years or 20 years or so on. So we want to be in the right location to serve the public, and that's part of our goal moving into this. The other thing about that too, Rod, is that we follow as closely as we can NFPA guidelines, which help dictate virtually everything that we do. And don't get me wrong, we work as closely as we can to those guidelines. We are not, neither agency here locally is fully in line with NFPA or complies with NFPA, but our goal, of course, the gold standard would be to comply, but NFPA helps set standards as far as responses go. And so part of your insurance and what have you is affected by the number of folks that we have in a particular location, or your fire station location, or a water supply and stuff like that. So ultimately, we do pay attention to how we are impacting, the residents that we serve through hydrant build-outs, fire station build-outs, staffing, any number of things that you could ever imagine are taken into account in these NFPA standards. And so a lot of good points, and recognizing, too, that we are looking at the same thing. And as far as the taxes go, I think you hit on a very important topic there, and it's painful for all of us, no doubt about it. Of course, it's an individual decision whether or not to support anything as far as your vote, but certainly, we emphasize community emergency service because we're part of the community, and we appreciate the support that the community has provided to us, and At some point, you're right, Rod, that we are going to have an ask. We don't know what that ask is at this point, but certainly more information will be coming forward, and hopefully we have the opportunity to talk to you again, Peter.
You bet. You guys are welcome anytime. We're going to come right back. Still have we have one caller waiting and several phone lines open. You have a question for Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Findlay and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons. They're here specifically to answer your questions. So, Peel, take the opportunity right now to let them know what you're thinking. We'll be right back after this.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with a crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Welcome back to Talkback. 721-1290 is the number. Peter Christian here, Nick Christensen taking your phone calls, as he always does this morning, producing Talkback. Joining us in the studio, Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Findlay, and we have Deputy Chief Corey Horsons also here in the studio. And you wanted to make a quick point before we get to our next caller. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Just kind of piggyback onto what Paul was saying earlier in response to Rod's call, we certainly appreciate and are sympathetic to the public's concerns around increasing taxes. You know, we're all taxpayers as well. I just wanted to clarify that the Missoula Rural Fire District and the City of Missoula are two separate entities. So anyone's taxes who went up as a result of the passage of the last mill levy to support the city fire department would not recognize an increase in taxes should a levy come to the ballot in support of the Missoula Rural Fire District. So there wouldn't be any double taxation there. Just wanted to clarify that.
That's very important to know. Very important. All right. Appreciate you sharing that. Kevin is up next. Kevin, good morning, sir. You're on Talk Back with Paul Findlay and Corey Horsons. Go ahead.
Yes, gentlemen. Anybody can answer this question. I was wondering if you're aware of the Missoula City County Public Report. It's a daily report that comes out every day, and it tells you about all the activity or incidences that have been responded to via the police department, the ambulance service, and the fire department. It used to put down under every incident responding units, such as your fire trucks and everything. Lately, for the last, I believe, 9 months now, they have eliminated that, or they're not being transparent about it. And I was just kind of curious if you're familiar with the issue, and is there a problem with us not knowing what units are showing up at these scenes?
Kevin, I apologize. I don't know that information, but I we will work towards an answer for that and try to get that back out to you. That's new to us, both of us, and so again, we'll work towards answering that question and see what's going on there. There's no reason that we aren't able to share that information. Certainly, anybody who has a scanner or an app anymore can really follow us quite well as far as dispatches go and what our units are assigned to and what have you. And so certainly no secrets out there amongst us. And so, but that is one thing that we can track down and help out with. So.
And then also, is there a site that we can check and see if they don't do this, that you guys keep updated, that we can see any of your responses, of calls?
That's a very real possibility for us. We're actually switching some stuff up on our website, and we may be able to do some sort of a dashboard on that in the future to show what our units are doing. And that's another thing that we've taken a note on here this morning, now that you've mentioned it. It is kind of interesting to see the call volume that's happened. For those of us that could have never predicted COVID and the implications that COVID had, of course, our call volume has risen greatly each year, and we track that, and it's again public information what we are doing, right? And so we're glad to share it.
And you're disseminating that as best you can. I mean, you don't have a separate division or department to do that.
No, we have a public information officer. Our battalion chief, Greg Orr, helps us out as much as possible in that realm, but he is assigned to shift work, and so he comes on for 24 hours and then leaves for 48, and so we don't have a good way currently of tracking it or letting that information out to the public, but I can see the reason to do so.
I got a follow-up question.
Sure.
I got a follow-up question. So on the big engines that are dispatched to these scenes, and it looks like they have a crew of 4 or more people in there, are there paramedics that are on board those engines?
Generally, our engines within the Missoula Rural Fire District are guaranteed to be advanced life support. The state has adopted that a advanced EMT is of that level. And so generally speaking, we split our paramedics up amongst the shifts, and so that we are responding with a paramedic as often as possible, but it's not always a paramedic. However, it is always advanced life support capabilities, and our engines are set up that way with advanced life support equipment to go along with those personnel who are responding. And we also attempt to put a couple of our folks through a paramedic class each year. It's a huge obligation to the person, but it's a benefit to the community, and our folks recognize that, and many have stepped up and taken on those roles and have saved countless lives over the course of their careers with the skills that they have. And so we again don't necessarily have paramedics on every rig, but we do have advanced life support on every rig.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on KGVO and giving us taxpayers an opportunity to ask you questions.
You bet, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for the call. We're going to come right back. We have a 1-minute timeout, and we have all of our phone lines are free. If you have a question for Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Findlay or Deputy Chief Corey Horsons or both, we'd love to hear from you in the next 8 minutes or so, and we'll be right back after this 1-minute timeout.
Hard water.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Okay, we are back. This is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. We're in the final segment with our guests from Missoula Rural Fire Chief Paul Findlay and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons. Gentlemen, we have about 5 minutes, maybe 5.5 minutes to wrap up. So give us the meat of what you're asking of our listeners today.
Yeah, so we appreciate the opportunity to be on the show with you, Peter, and share some of our information. At this point, what we are doing is a station location study that is helping us to identify some of the shortcomings of 4 of our current 5 fire stations. As many of your listeners are probably aware, we built a fire station in Bonner to replace the one that was in Piltsville a couple years ago. And we're very proud of that particular fire station and the work that went into it. And our people are housed in a far much safer facility than we are across the board. Otherwise, some of our fire stations have don't meet a number of the standards that we're attempting to achieve for the safety of our firefighters. Our fire gear that our crews wear each day have some forever chemicals associated with them, and so the storage of those chemicals inside of the storage of those turnouts, the gear that we wear inside the fire stations is dangerous to our crews. In fact, dangerous to the point where the folks who build that personal protective equipment for us actually wear personal protective equipment because of the forever chemicals that are part of our gear. And so we're trying to make our facilities updated as necessary, and also give our first responders an opportunity to have a safe and long-lasting career, and then in retirement where they're healthy. Many of our folks haven't had that opportunity, and firefighters in particular have a higher instance of cancer, much higher instance of cancer than the general public. And so our goal moving forward is to not only locate fire stations in the correct area for the people that we serve, the community that we serve, but also ensure that our first responders, our firefighters at each level are as protected as possible moving forward. So.
Got about 3 minutes. So, Corey, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Nick, please.
Yeah, we have an app question, and then we do have a quick call.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
But Sandy said, do rural and city fire go through the same training? Are the benefits and pay similar? What would attract someone to work for the rural versus city fire?
A lot of good questions there. So the testing, there's a CPAT test, which if anybody's interested in that, there's a CPAT test that encourages, that takes in the entire state, coming up in January. So that's where each of our agencies hire from. And then, the pay, is not necessarily commensurate to the two agencies. There is a difference. Our folks are paid less, and what have you. And our folks stay, I think, because of the variety of calls that we run. We do a lot of rescues, a lot of in-depth firefighting that is takes us to a lot of different locations. For instance, we go to nearly to Lolo Hot Springs and have a lot of challenges that way. We have a lot of challenging rescues that we perform in the Rattlesnake and beyond. And so I think there's some draw to that. A lot of our folks, though, come through our resident ranks, which are the college age firefighters that we have, and enjoy the camaraderie that they find within our organization and the family atmosphere that we have. So, the city has their own, the city fire department has their own draws too. And that's not to negate those, draws by any means, but, I can speak more, quite a lot better towards the Missoula Rural Fire District.
Carr, we got about a minute and a half. So, contact information if we want to find out more about, Missoula Rural Fire and the work that you folks do, please, how do we contact you?
Absolutely. We're happy to answer any questions the public might have. A great resource is our website, mrfdfire.org. Or feel free to give our headquarters station a call, and they can direct you to the right person. That number's 406-549-6172. And again, we're very happy to share any information that we can with the public.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for your service to our county, our community, and to all of the men and women who work with you. God bless you, and have a happy Thanksgiving and a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you, Peter and Nick. We appreciate you guys.
Really appreciate you being here to share that with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both.
All right. So, Mr. Nick, as we look forward to we're going to be out of here for a couple days.
Yep, we're off tomorrow, and then we're off Friday. Be back Monday with Rob Nadelson, and the first hour will likely be a best of.
All right, so there you go. And again, a big thank you to all of you who called in this morning. We just deeply appreciate the service. The folks from Missoula Rural Fire, Chief Paul Finley and Deputy Chief Corey Horsons, and all that you folks do. So be aware that when you see those folks rushing down the street, they might be going to help your neighbor or perhaps even your own home. So anyway, let's wish them well as they move forward. So thanks for joining us here on KGVO. We appreciate it. As Nick said, we're going to be taking the Thanksgiving holiday off and joining you again on Monday with one of our favorite guests, Dr. Rob Nadelson. He'll be on with us from 9 to 10.